Hello and welcome to Free from the Yoke, Rokugan. This is a Legend of the Five Rings reskin for Free from the Yoke. Free from the Yoke itself is a adaptation from Legacy Life Among the Ruins. It is a game of houses in a low fantasy Slavic fantasy with an arbiter, and we've taken that to be the clans from Legend of the Five Rings, with an emperor as the leader point in that. If you know Legend of the Five Rings, we're just after the second day of Thunder, and that's the only concession I'm going to make to explaining anything. So if you're watching this, this is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. This is session 5, so there are 4 sessions before this. Some of them don't have character creation in them. And that would be the second one on. So we're going to be taking up, last time, the big Imperial project for the 7 bridges was completed. And then that led to the turning of the age. And we walk through the debt payment that's involved with that and the status of the houses, and each house got to roll to see whether they gained something or lost. And now we move forward. We're going to be talking about what's happened with each family. Each player is going to be adding something to the map. You're going to be adding a threat, a opportunity, or a new faction to the map. And we can talk about what that means when we come to that section of play. We're also then, once we've got that settled, everybody's going to have a chance to update their character. If they're staying in the same role, they can do that. Or rather, the same playbook, they can do that. But I think most of the players are going to be changing their playbooks. When they change over, they're going to swap stats. They're going to have their choice of how they want to mix up keeping their moves. They'll keep the same number of advances. And they also will keep the same number of ticks that they have on their rolls. So that is how that is going to work. So let me also talk about the choices that the Emperor made. Because when the turning of age happens, when the project is complete, the Emperor also gets some things. And so I took another point of control. So I raised that up to make it less likely that turmoil will exceed control. I took a new move called Hail Caesar, which needs to be renamed quite clearly. When a clan presents evidence of taint, blood speakers, or Shadowland forces within another clan's lands, the Emperor gives the revealing clan's surplus jade, prestige, or order. So it is a thing, a push for you to narc on your fellow clans, or set something up to that effect. The other thing that I took was, there's one more thing. Oh, I created a new minor clan. You'll see on the map between the Phoenix and the Unicorn, there is a new minor clan. It is the Monkey Clan. Which is essentially a group of the Ronin who served Toturi, have been the ones who were sort of at the height of that, have been given lands out there that kind of fell in the uncertain area between the swath of land that the unicorns occupy and that the Phoenix occupy. So that is up there. I put a little sigil, cute little monkey. So there you go. So Sherry, let's start with you.
Okay.
What do you think has gone on? Actually, you know what? I'm going to pause. I'm going to put a pin in this.
Okay.
Tyler has become daimyo.
Yes.
So I actually think we need to start with Tyler.
Thank you.
And then we'll come to where you are. Tyler, we know you've already mentioned that that's the change you're going to make, is moving your character into the daimyo playbook. But tell me what has happened in the Crane clan over the last couple of years?
As we mentioned when we ended last time, there was a scandal. The Scorpions let out that our old daimyo, when the duplicate came in, that Fulang had fooled him, but the going into retirement and allowing the duplicate to be there, he had chosen to do that. He had allowed it to come about. And that had led to dishonor and a scandal. And so in the years following, he had decided to step down because it was a shame to the clan. We'd also seen kind of wanted to live a peaceful life. Now, of course, he hates the Scorpions even more for having done this.
Right.
But with my star rising, he had declared me as heir, and I think the clan has, by and large, accepted that. I took the leader, I kept the leader role, so there's mechanics that sort of back up that the clan does accept it as right now.
Right.
And I'm young for leading a clan. I'm only 31 now, but I think I will do a fine, wise job.
Yes, I'm sure that you will. Have there been any changes in your family's customs or any of those the doctrine or even features? Has any of that changed?
Satsumi was happy with where it was and has left the clan exactly the same as it was.
So I think that makes sense. It is the doji. Are they still the preeminent family?
I am
amongst your
doji.
clan? Okay.
Yeah, I think probably I was either nephew or cousin to the actual daimyo anyway. And so it's still very much within the family and even within kind of the line.
Let me ask you this then. What do you think the imperial reaction has been to that? There was some discommodation with the Crane at that last winter court, but you also, you helped out with the projects and so on. What do you think was the Emperor's reaction?
I think the Emperor, I think probably there's a bit of relief in the court when I took over, because I think there was a real problem with our old daimyo. When that came out and, we had been we helped the Emperor reach the throne. I think it looked bad on him as well that our daimyo was, had kind of capitulated, had agreed to do something for Fulang. And so I think there's a bit of relief that I'm stepping in. I have a decent relationship personally with the Emperor. But, at the same time, I'm very young. So I think there's a little bit of feeling of, okay, we'll have a less cunning, a less capable Crane to deal with. And won't it be nice to be able to get something over on the Cranes instead of the other way around?
And you're doing pretty well, surplus to needs. You have surpluses of koku, of culture, morale, and lumber. But because you're trading away a lot of things, you're sort of forced to do that. You have a need of rice, trade, and luxury. So the cupboards of the doji and the Crane clan are perhaps a little thin.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to hear my new moves for the daimyo?
Yeah. No, we'll come to your character in a second. I want to get through the clan and the map first.
Alrighty.
Jerry, what has happened with the Crane clan?
With the Crane clan, I have no idea, but the Crab
with
clan.
The Crab clan. Crab clan. Let me start again. Sherry.
Yes.
What has happened with the Crab clan?
I think that there is a sort of, at the higher level, the Crab have gotten their feet underneath them and actually made a good deal of headway further into the Shadowlands. This is both a good thing and a difficult thing because the expansion was faster than anticipated, and now they are needing fortifications again, not because they had some great lack of engineers or anything like that, but because they simply have moved the wall forward so far that it requires sort of a complete rebuilding. And of course, they leave the old wall pieces behind if they haven't been taken over. So they are once again sort of without as many fortifications at the front as they would like, and that is a need for them.
Now, but you are almost flush with resources here in some way.
Yes, other than that, and it was part of the reason that we were able to move forward. It has been a time of both prosperity and because of that ability to kind of keep going and not have to pull back and not have to be, how do you say, plotting to the extent that they would otherwise. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you want to change anything about your doctrine, your feature, your customs?
That's interesting. Let's see here. I think I'm looking at the wrong place, and that's going to be why I'm having this problem. Sorry, got to get to the right one.
Yeah, it's at the farthest, almost right hand of the tabs.
Okay, so no, okay, doctrine I would keep in place.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. If anything, I think the clan apart is almost, I kind of like it. I almost think that in some ways it's holding that has been proven out.
Sure. If those have worked for you and you feel like they still represent your clan, then it's fine to stay with those.
Yep.
Is Hida Mariko still in charge, or has there been some rise in power of Kayu Yumiko?
Let us say that it has gone back and forth enough that the main body of Crab find it like that's just how these things work. There are the months of prosperity and the months of war making, right?
Okay.
But that is getting more and more stressed. Neither one of them is as gracious as they were previously at letting that go when the time comes. So it will probably come to some trouble unless they have to band together, if that makes any sense.
Yes, absolutely. All right, I think that gives us a pretty good sense. We'll come back to you with the question of opportunity, threat, or faction.
Okay.
Patrick, what has gone on with the Mantis clan? The Unicorn clan.
Mantis clan, they've been building a lot of little boat models. They've really perfected the boat in a jar, sort of like no. I mean, things have not been awesome for the Unicorn clan over this period. Things have been especially unawesome for Hikaru, who I changed over to the priest-monk playbook.
Okay.
And the role I went with there was radical mark when your clan snubs people like you. So I think the whole push to reconnect with the elder spirits of the clans, reconnect with Kirin and the roots of the clan here in the homeland has really become unpopular because people blame a lot of what the Scorpions had done and have done in the meantime, and a lot of the misfortunes of the clan on Hikaru as a representative of people who are trying to connect with the spirits and the kami of this land, with Miho, the Shinjo Daimyo, who is still in charge, but sort of holding on by her fingernails.
So the Moto haven't seized control yet?
No, but I have tabs, changed my thingamajigger and other thingamajigger.
Okay, let's hear about the
Doctrine and
thingamajiggers.
feature.
Okay, let's hear those.
So feature I changed over to Rise of the True Moto, which is when you roll a 6- or 7-9 on a hold together move, you may immediately change your doctrine, choose different moves, and swap this feature out for one of the other 2 unicorn features. So things are on the edge, and I expect somewhere in this age, the Moto clan will rise up over the Shinjo, and I don't know, I may need to do an on-the-spot character change at that point, or I'll see what the story is at the time, basically.
That seems fair. And you're pretty even on mood. Looks like you're, but 3 surpluses, 3 needs.
My doctrine I also changed from where I had been fabulously outfitted wherever I went. I think they've sort of seen that the need to look proper and fit in with the ways of the homeland slowed them down, weighed them down, delayed their response to the Nakanori situation. And so this one, ride fast to any summons. When you ride to pursue or escape, no one can outpace you. And if anyone anywhere sends you a message by rider or bird, you may narrate the arrival of a small band by the dawn of the next day.
Nice. All right. I think that gives us a good sense. We'll come back to you when we have you add something to the map. Scott, what has gone on with the Phoenix?
The Phoenix have, I wouldn't say they've prospered, but they've gotten by.
Okay.
They've decided to more embrace their mystic ways, which they were being cautious about because of the damage that they perceived that they was caused. But they haven't dealt with some of their core shortages, so their morale is not ever really recovered.
Yeah, you're at 0, but it's a 0 that's 4 surpluses balanced against 4 needs. So very much a teeter-totter there.
Yeah, and they've never been positive even during the last stage. So still struggling really to provide some core needs for the populace.
And has there been any change in the guidance or the rulership of your family in this time?
There hasn't been a change, surprisingly enough. While there is some displeasure, nothing open, nothing has taken place. The daimyo is still in place. And
doctrine and feature remaining the same?
I did leave. Yes, yeah, I did want both of those still.
Okay. Let's see. And your needs, rise, peace. What do you think the need for peace is within your family? Like what's causing that disorder? So if we look at resources, when it says with a need piece generally represents it feels like every time you blink a new crisis assaults your clan between health, safety, shelter, and numerous other concerns. There's too many fires to put out. So what are the fires that the Phoenix are kind of dealing with right now?
I said we've lost that huge forest, that haunted forest section of our clan territories. We can no longer utilize it for even resources, whether it's lumber for building or construction of roads. At the same time, our crops haven't been well. We don't have a great trade history. We're beset by ogres from above, where we found some of the resources we need. However, above there is, and so it's a perilous existence. We're not quite at war, but we're not quite feeling like we're on the strongest footing all the time.
That seems perfect.
But we would
Now,
never let anybody know that.
of course. Now we're going to come around and we're going to have each person add something to the map. It can be a threat, which is always fun. It can be a feature. Don't shake your head, crab. It can be a threat, which is always fun. It can be a feature, or it can be a new faction, like a new group, a family splitting off from something, a minor clan, whatever you think is good. It could be, for example, if you wanted to say like one of the families of the lion were rose particularly, that could be a thing. So, Tyler, what are you imagining that you'd like to add to our map? And if you're watching this, I'm going to give you a treat and show you the screen. If I can find where the screen share is on this again. Where is that?
Middle of the bottom.
Middle of the bottom. Oh, the big green button that is highlighted and is a different color from all the other ones so as to mark it out as being special. So let's show for folks at home. You can see.
You'll also note that that button very cunningly has the words share screen on them.
Yes, yes. So here you can see, just so if you're watching this and you want to pause the video, you're watching this on your PC, not on your phone, because you'll never read it on that thing. If you're watching on your PC, you can kind of check and see what we've added to sort of the blank map. If you know regular L5R, you'll be gasping at the heresy of our map. So there you go. Stop share. Tyler, what do you want to add?
Okay. So threat, faction, feature.
Yeah.
Okay.
Opportunity. Opportunity being, oh, look, here's a way I could get a particular surplus.
I like opportunities.
I thought you might. You're a crane.
I want to put something down that is an opportunity for luxury. What would be a good representation? What would be a good thing that would bring in luxury? Would it be a settlement that hasn't really been taken yet, or would it be access to something rich and valuable?
Yeah, it could be that you know, that in a nearby lands, either a minor clan lands or nearby lands, someone has set up something like a great silk works, or a great sake works, or something of that would be luxury. Or it could be the discovery of a rare resource in the mountains or out at sea that could be converted to luxury.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with the silk works.
Okay.
I like that. And it should be, for it to be a good opportunity for me, it should be close to me. So I think I'm going to place that on kind of a sea power. I could put it somewhere further down the coast, maybe. It to be accessible, though. I think I'm going to put it on the map. I'll put it there. And inserting a thingy. I want a shape. There we go. There's something that looks a worm-like.
I was just thinking that.
I think I'll go with this. This isn't worm-like, but it does look luxuriant. And I'm going to place that here. Make it much smaller.
Oh. Just down from our silkworm resource.
Is it?
Right.
Now we have the verbs, but not the works.
Yeah.
Ah, yes. So there is where it is.
So
Right,
we'll
so
say, I think, like the imperial family has a lot of branches that form some of the subfamilies and things like that. They have their, sort of their own land. So this is a sort of distant branch of one of the sort of the vassal families of the imperial household that, with some maneuvering or even seizing, you could bring into the fold of the crane. Does that seem fair?
it does.
Sherry, would you like to add a threat, an opportunity, or a faction to the map?
One thing is we never actually drew the bridge where it ended up being built. But I kind of like the idea that we had this thing of like the water elementals who didn't like it, and the bridge being there, and it being, and it's sort of, course, it's fed by the mountains. And the thing is that truth of the matter is that Ryoko is just below that area. What if one of the intervening springs came and there was terrible flooding? It had nothing to do with the bridge, but that river flooded and sort of overwhelmed. And we ended up actually making a deal with because of course they had to get through it, but the Scorpion have actually had us build a dam, and it's allowed us to do that, to have some control over the flooding, and we've started rerouting that water, if that makes any sense. So it's a thing of it's going down some other lowland places now.
So what do you want to call that, and where do you want to put that?
And I think if we say, because I'm gonna guess that the bridge was in one of those places that would have been like
We've got
midway,
the rectangle that represents
right.
the bridges are. So
But I think it would have been pretty much midway, like where the cinnamon forest was over there and in the way, like no one would ever go there because you just don't go through the cinnamon, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the most part. So it would probably be towards this lower part of that rectangle.
Okay. Once you put a sign or a symbol there for that.
Okay, and you just moved that rectangle a little bit, didn't you?
I kind of shrunk it a bit to
Okay.
make it represent the multiple bridges.
Okay. Multiple, okay, whatever.
Because it's the 7 bridges.
Oh, they were all there? Oh, goodness. All right, that's cool. All right, I thought they were like scattered all across, but that's cool. So yeah, they would have been right up here, like in there. So would have had to be enough space for the water elementals. I'll get those drawn. Let's not watch me do that.
Okay.
But I would say that we probably put the dam below that.
Okay.
I'm thinking about good weather thing, and so
It's certainly a looming threat over the Scorpion if you put a dam north of Ryoko.
well, I think we did it at their behest, though, right? Oh yeah, I guess it is. It would be. We control the flooding.
Yeah.
The flooding is controlled. Of course, we know how it's controlled. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I would say that what we've got right now is sort of a lowland that's filling in. Oh my God, why can I never pick the right tool for this? So let's say that there's sort of a, oh, come on, I want the one that does curves. Sorry,
And for
guys.
you.
Yeah, I know. I'm really sorry about this. Anyway, I will draw like where the waterway is
Okay.
sort of gathering right now. eventually it might be a worthwhile trades place, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
a way
You've-
up.
Figure out where you want to put the symbol. I'm going to come to the Unicorn Clan. Patrick, do you want to add a threat, opportunity, or faction to the map?
So I want to add an opportunity to it because I think Monkey Clan sounds fun because
Okay.
they're my neighbors and they're monkeys. So I added that little lightning bolt down south of the river from them, and I think it's like a town that's built around like training grounds and a mercenary company. We sort of had all those like wandering samurai or ronin or something that were there.
Okay.
So I think there's like mercenary companies that can be hired out for causes that they agree with.
Is that essentially the Monkey Clan providing those? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Like I have the the great stables there further down the river where people can come to buy, hire wondrous horses. They have a place where people can go hire on followers, samurai, military troops, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And just because this sounded fun looking at the wiki about them, the Vigilant Keep of the Monkey.
Okay. It's a good name. And then, Scott, for the Phoenix, what do you want to add to the map?
How about a threat?
All right. I'm listening.
Well, if we've had flooding in the south, perhaps we've had drought in the north.
Okay. So
Perhaps in the region here, just south of my gorge.
okay.
Is there a death symbol on here?
I'm sure you can find
Or-
a skull.
A hungry symbol?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We don't have very many scary.
I know. It's like I think everybody wants to be friendly.
In corporate land, they do.
I know. I work in the government. We'll put a cloud.
Oh, here.
Make it a gray cloud.
There we go. I don't think it did go. Well. Nope. For some reason, it won't let me insert an emoji skull.
Well, we can use this cloud right here.
Okay. So we have a drought threatening through there that has been disturbing the lands throughout.
Yep.
The next thing that we're going to do, once we have that in hand, we're going to look at the characters, and we're going to go through any changes that you've made with the characters. So Tyler, you are switching to Daimyo, correct?
That is correct.
And tell us what that involves. You had one role marked from before and have second role. So this is the leader role you're in now, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Tell us about your moves and stuff.
All right. My stats really didn't change much. I went from a might -1 to a 0 and a bravery of 0 to a -1.
Okay.
My being a leader for the Daimo is, Mark, when you take over control of the clan, they'll bring concerns to you before they oppose you. GM will say what problems you immediately are made aware of, so something for you to think about. My death move is I have a scheme. People can try and do it. It causes surplus in need. My moves, I picked up my little sparrows, which your spies lurk across the land feeding you reports when you enter a new settlement. Say which group they've infiltrated, its leader, their enemies, the laborers, the profiteers. Each day you may secretly meet them and ask them a question about that group. The GM will answer it honestly. You may ask follow-up questions, but after each one, the GM may make a reaction, increasing the spy's risk of discovery. And I picked up Loyal Staff, which is really awesome. Everywhere you go, your trusted agents go with you. Pick 2. I picked a Bodyguard, which will give me +1 might when they fight at my command.
Mm-hmm.
And a Courtier, which will give me +1 cunning when they sweet talk your target. Thought that was nice. And I put their names in my harm slots.
Yes.
Which gives me extra harm, making, naturally when you're in charge, you're a little tougher.
Extra harm, meaning that they will take the blow and get killed for you.
I can choose to have them take a blow, and they will either be hurt, they'll be taken out. They'll either be hurt or killed.
Okay.
And then I can, if they're hurt, I can find some way to heal them. If they're taken out, I would have to find somebody who is of similar skill and convince them to take this job where people die. And finally, I held on to Sly Words, which is the one where I get to exploit the weaknesses of others. If I know a shameful or illicit secret, then their first pick on Find Common Ground must be, you promise to keep the secret hidden.
Okay. Let's come to our Crab Clan representative then.
Okay.
What has gone on with Haruma Reiko?
So I would say that even prior to Doji Satsumi being set up as daimyo, other clans kind of saw the way the wind was blowing, and the crab quickly learned, everyone who knew, that Reiko was known to be very close to Doji Satsumi. They got a lot of marriage offers. They got a lot of attention paid to her. And their first thing was that they wanted to, not get tangled up in crane matters. So they sort of cast about for something that they could do that would place her outside of that thing, and they actually ended up going with magistrate. And that essentially she would be busy in the crane lands. Worked great for a while, but then I would say she isn't just crane magistrate anymore. She probably works emerald magistrate down the ways, down to some extent now.
And your leader role, we'll resolve that, but leader is your role currently?
I think so. I'm trying to figure out how that all works with this, but I think that makes sense.
Okay. And what are your moves?
Okay, so I'm keeping range far and wide. This is why I ended up being valuable to the Emerald Magistrate. And then
yeah. Actually, your leader moves are a little bit different for role moves for the magistrate thing.
I understand that,
okay,
but
yeah.
my moves, I get to keep one, right, from my scout, or no?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just, the reason I said that is because it was just slightly different on your sheet, so I wanted to make sure you had that.
I gotcha. I've been trying to paste things over as I've reconciled
Sure.
what I was going to do for sure. So, so yes, my leader move, if I take the leader one, is mark when you bring down a criminal conspiracy, name a victim who found the champion, who found true companionship in the adventure. I'm guessing it's with whom I found
Yeah.
true companionship. And the GM will say what threat looms over them. So that's awesome. Whatever. And then, yes, we'll just start with
Go on.
that. Well, because I don't really know that I have a thing to change that. Right?
Is at the start we'll set up and if you take the leader, then we'll talk about a criminal organization you've just busted up.
Okay.
And we'll give you a stout companion
All right.
and a danger that looms over them that you can work to take care of.
All right. That sounds excellent. And then my moves that I'm going to take for the magistrate were pretty easy, I think. I was going to go with let's see here. Probably. Ooh. I like Eyes of the Magistrate.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Emerald Badge.
Those are good ones.
I think they're good story ones.
All right. That gives a good sense of where you're at.
Yes.
A senior magistrate amongst your family. Let's come to Shinju Hukaru. What role have you taken on? And playbook.
So I took the priest monk playbook. I'm going more towards the monk side of it. My stats stayed mostly the same. My bravery got a little better. My cunning got a little worse. Let's see. For my moves, I went with the wretch move, which goes sort of with that, the radical and the clan snubbing people like me.
And you'll have a second roll box ticked, right? Because this is your second roll. Because you switched.
No, because I changed playbooks.
Yeah, even if you change playbooks, you keep ticks for the number of rolls that you've had.
I still only had one roll.
But you changed to a new role when you came over to this one, didn't you? Or were you radical in your previous playbook?
Actually, I was radical in my previous playbook.
Okay.
I didn't think about that, but
okay.
I was not a very good radical last time. I did not manage to complete my mission. But the wretch lets me do an act ritual without disadvantage, and if I rely on the humility and asceticism before superior.
Wow, that is a wild spelling Lo put for that. That I don't even know what that word is, and you pronounced it right. Like you read my intention, but for those of you at home, I have misspelled that like grotesquely. But go on.
I got where it was going.
I know, but it's so bad.
And I can try and play around with them or find common ground or have a little control over what they're watching. And I also took Overlooked, which if
you mean the best move in the game?
Yeah, I sort of do.
Okay.
Which means as long as I'm vaguely, reasonably in the same part of the country or city or whatever, and there's private conversation going on between a PC and anyone else, I could be like, oh, also I was in the shadows listening. Hi. But don't pay attention to me. I'm just a poor, wandering, rejected monk. Nobody likes me. I have no power. I'm not even important. Go on now.
I couldn't even get another roll move. Okay.
Yeah. So my radical role, mark when your clan snubs people like you. Say what strength of your clan you and your fellow faithful hold on to. GM says what they need from you to maintain their fragile existence.
So what strength of your clan do you like maintain?
I think because it ties into one of my clan moves and something I'm moving towards here, that Hikaru and some of the other monks that are sort of outcast with him are some of the only ones left that have the knowledge of how to make the Meishoto items. The magic items that the Unicorn clan can make that are outside the system of kami and spirits of the homeland, that even people who can't talk to the kami or are being cursed or rejected by them can still make magical effects. Just throwing things out there.
I think if with that those people need to believe that you still have the possibility of contacting the Kirin. Like they still need to believe that you can make that contact and get that relationship between that great spirit and the unicorn.
That's sort of long though it is, this is all just an intermediary period and we will come out the other end.
Exactly. All right, let's come to Shiba Kazuko. Scott, tell me how she has changed.
Shiba has studied to be a Shugenshu after learning the ritual from the Crane clan. Realized her calling lay there instead. And so spent time in study over the years. And was ultimately, I guess, what is Way of Shugenja?
Yeah. So now can perform those magics. So you'll have, because you have 2 rolls check, you'll have 3 moves then. So you still got one more to pick.
Move.
Yeah.
And I do have the Way of the Water in case we need healing. All right, so I'm going to get another move. Let's go take a peek.
Okay.
I didn't notice that. I think I'll take Way of the Void. When you rest in the wilderness outside modern civilization, you commune with the kami and gain 1 vision. Spend 1 vision to gain advantage on enact a ritual, or spend 3 to learn a ritual.
That is nice. And you took Radical as your new role?
I am a radical.
Okay. Mark, when you see the tutelage of the kami, we'll probably do as one of the early scenes to figure out, much as we put that burden on Shinjo Hikaru, we'll put another burden on you then.
Okay.
So let's talk about the Emperor's Project. And let me pull up the Emperor's Playbook, or Project Playbook. Let me open link. I'm going to grab and drop that in the here. Come on. So last time we had a grand construction, and there are some other projects that we can talk about that are possible on the table. Expansion means that the land isn't big enough for the Emperor's ambitions. Bit by bit, or in one grand annexation, they mean to swell the size of Rokugan. Transformation is there's something about the nation's culture that the Emperor wishes to alter through education or chastisement, incentives, or strong-armed oppression. They will try to reshape your society. Open war, which is essentially open conflict at the nation's borders. There is some force outside that the empire is mobilized to do battle with, whether it's the Gaijin or forces from the Burning Sands or a renewed group from the Shadowlands or something else, corrupted Naga, a fallen clan, some kind of open war. We'll figure out. And then the last one is counter-insurrection, which we don't have to worry about yet. When we had first talked about this, the idea had been that we would, on this second project, go to transformation. That had been kind of in the cards. Do we still think that that's appealing, or is there another project that seems more interesting or fitting for what we're doing here?
Had we thought about what transformation we were going to do?
We have not decided that. That's going to be, if we decide to do that, then we'll answer that question.
I mean, I think that could be very interesting. I think a war could be very interesting. What are other folks' opinions?
Patrick, what do you think?
Looking through those, I was most drawn to the transformation, but I see good possibilities with a little bit more as well. But I think my top pick would be transformation.
Okay. Sherry, what do you think?
Transformation's always interesting just because it's such a mess. It displaces so many people.
And Scott, are you okay with some kind of transformation being the project at hand?
Yep, I've got no problem with that at all.
All right.
Lots of potential.
So, Sherry, because if I recall when we did the thing, you were kind of the compromise when we did the first picks. You wanted transformation, but we didn't do that. We did the other thing. So I want you to answer this first question.
All right.
What does the Emperor want to change?
Wants to centralize something.
The examples that we have there are treatment of the peasantry, place of the Ronin, questions of faith, obligations to the clan, rights to the samurai. Those are examples, but it could certainly be something else. Elimination of a clan, reorganization.
Oh, that's interesting. Read those again, just so I make sure I'm...
Treatment of the peasantry, the place of Ronin, questions of faith, obligations of the clans, rights of the samurai. Those are the examples I had come up with originally. But again, it is open to if you have some other idea.
And his army was a Ronin army, wasn't it?
He gathered the Ronin together and used them as sort of the backbone that he rallied the other forces around.
He's almost obligated to address the place of the Ronin.
So what does that mean? What would be the change that he wants?
He wants to put forth a path to the great families, essentially for a Ronin, and they're like a set of on entry points, if that makes any sense, to serve in these ways for this long. Of course, they'll all be horribly, terrible, but I think he wants like ones that apply to all the clans, but first he has to get ways into the clans.
So he wants to remove the stigma for Ronin and provide a method by which they are given the opportunity to form new houses or to join with the great houses. Mm-hmm. Does that seem like a fair way to put that?
Right. And Yeah, there's probably a thing about how to form a new house would have to be codified as well, wouldn't it? But at least to join the other houses. He wants the houses to be willing to throw open their doors by some set of laws.
So
So
potentially even like a different house than the Ronin was initially attached to, right?
Correct.
Interesting.
Do we, just to kind of clarify a little, do we think that his interest is as much getting them into the other clans, or is one of his big interests that now he can bring them into the imperial seat,
Oh, that's interesting.
swelling his own ranks, and then the houses will just be sort of forced to bring more in to keep up?
I like that.
Oh yeah, that's very good. Okay. Yep. That is a beautifully indirect Toturi strategy.
All right. So let me ask you, Scott, what do you think was the inciting incident for this? What kicked off that Toturi has made this move to change this like this?
I think there were so many that I think some of them had banded together and as bandits. And it was causing problems with trade on the great routes. These former Ronin, now unemployed, unfed, without land.
Muted.
You're on mute.
So Ronin who had served were, and Ronin who had served were suffering and were still pushed out, and that was seen. They caused problems, and Toturi was shamed that the Ronin had not been, that these people who had fought for the Empire had not been welcomed with open arms, is at least the statement that he's making.
Right. And I think it's kind of semi-punishment for the clans for not welcoming back in their Ronin. They must take other clans' Ronins.
And who do you think is there is a poster boy for this, a figure who's the ideal subject who's represented in this process, Patrick? Who do you think that is?
Oh, why not? I think it's a scorpion. I think, in fact, over the past couple of years, especially starting with that horribly disastrous court where everything went wrong for everyone, there have been a lot of scandalous incidents involving Scorpion samurai who have been cast out publicly as Ronin from the clan to, cleanse the Scorpion of any suspicion and show that they're following the laws of honor and justice. But it means that as this plan was being pushed through the court and as the Emperor announces it, they have a lot of Ronin out there, just coincidentally. So let's see, where's Fluffback?
Let's get a name.
Bayushi Hisoka.
Bayushi Hisoka, male or female?
Male. Long ponytail.
Okay. All right, sort of the representative of someone who's fallen. Now we can reach out our hand to lift them up.
And I think he's like the Emperor's pet project, reformed Ronin.
The Emperor has gotten silly in his old age.
This. And Tyler, the last question on that list of foundations?
Who's seeing their way of life becoming more difficult?
Like, if this happens, who's getting the pinch put on them?
Jerry, are you saying something there?
Just say the crab.
Well, I was going to say, is this too broad to say the Diamos that are now being forced to pay for, feed? Is it too broad to say the upper echelons of the houses, or would it be more accurate to say the minor houses who now are finding in this arms race they don't have the resources to keep up?
That's a really interesting question. Do you think it's about resources, or is it about prestige, or is it about political position? Who do you think? I mean,
I honestly think it is the difficulty of having a swelling force, because, I mean, when you bring in a samurai, you then have to establish a household. You have to make sure that they are taken care of and paid and all of that. And that's a huge drain when you suddenly start seeing all of these houses saying, well, I need another 50 samurai to just be on par.
so yeah, I think you saying the senior daimyo at the center of the houses are the ones most worried and most affected by this, because eventually that goes up the line to them.
Right. Because I think the rest of the clan sees it as no big deal, or even, wow, we're becoming stronger. I mean, there may be some resentment of people lifted. I'm sure there's going to be the resentment of Ronin coming in. But that's a different question than the very practical, how the heck am I going to maintain this new army?
Absolutely. So we're going to increase this project track when a clan expends a surplus in the service of Emperor societal change. And the examples we have are order, scholars, morale, spies, justice, culture. So I'm going to put that in the page there. Text. And then doom will come when there are protests against the cultural change that descend into violence. Key leaders speak out against the changes. A natural disaster or famine strikes the land. Ooh, all of these things are like right on the cusp. Or turmoil exceeds control once per age. It's a good thing that Toturi increased his control last time. And that's all we need to know about that. We have hit the midpoint. Let's take about 8 minutes so we get to the half hour. We'll come back, we'll do the court, and we'll roll into some stuff with each of the characters, okay? So, tell me, Scott, what clan is hosting the Winter Court this year? Is it one of your clans? Or is it the Lion, Scorpion, give the Scorpion again, Dragon, the Mantis? It could be one of the Imperial households. There are several of them that could host it. The Atomo, for example, is one of the Imperial households. What do you think, Scott?
I like the idea of plopping it on Lion's lap.
Okay. Then, it's been a few years. We had it at Kayunda Nakoto before. So I think that this time to kind of honor the lore. We're having it at essentially Shiro Ikoma. Ikoma, they're the sort of the bards and lore speakers for the lion family. So we're in the land of the Ikoma, and their daimyo Ikoma Okataru has welcomed everyone here, and the emperor has arrived. There's all of this buzz about the Ronin that's in the air, and that discussion that is going on. So let's start with the Phoenix. What is your favor right now with the emperor?
Right now, we're at, I think we're still at 2. I think we didn't drop. Favor
Absolutely.
is 2, yeah.
So there's almost no chance you could fail. Look at this.
How could it possibly happen?
So why don't you roll holding court?
Let me bring up the roll with me. Gotta enter my username. All right, 2d6 plus 2.
Plus 2.
8.
An 8. So the emperor calls to you and says,
You only rolled 1d6, Scott.
what?
No way.
Yeah, way.
Oh my God.
We'll roll another d6 and add it to that.
All right, let's just, that probably makes more sense. So 1d6. 10.
10. So the emperor calls you in. He's pleased by the Phoenix, the ceremonies that you've performed these last few years, and says to you, as much as anything, we need to make sure that the Ronin that are lifted up and they are brought back into the celestial order. They have fallen out from the order, and we need to help them. We need to spiritually guide them into this role, into this place that we need them to be. I want you and your clan to take possession of some of the imperial records that have been recovered, some of the documents and materials gathered from the Cranes rebuilding of the library and from the Kitsu Hall of the Ancestors here in the Lionlands. I want you to marshal those scholars together, and I want you to put those to use to find where, as we know it does, the statements of the past support the idea of bringing the Ronin in. So I want you to shepherd that surplus of scholars and put that to work. Can you do that for me, oh Phoenix?
With such a wise request, clearly beneficial to the entire empire, how could Phoenix possibly refuse?
Yeah. So you will get essentially the surplus scholars provided by the emperor. He wants you to take those and put those to a task. And if you can succeed with that by the end of the season, you'll gain a favor and add a progress to the thing.
Right.
Let's come to the unicorn. They've had a bad few years. Here they return back.
It's probably going to grow great. I mean, previously I had a terrible favor of -1, and now I have an amazing favor of 0. It's 5.
There are no demands put on the unicorn.
Joke's on you. I don't have any influences to lose this time.
Exactly. It's the thing is there's those moments when you would expect some treatment of the unicorn, and it's the mantis that's called up, and they speak and they give honors to the fleet commander, the pirate smashing fleet commander of the South, and her bravery, and the unicorn are acknowledged, but there's some people that are saying, are they really a great clan?
I think, Shinjo's
And they all have masks
there.
on, the people who are saying that. So
Shinjo's there where he had, come the last time, and all these like elaborate furs and worked leathers. He's there in like simple clothes that are, it's hard to tell whether they're really purple or if they're just some sort of gray. And Miho's there, but people are talking about how, that's a lovely dress, but it was a lovely dress at the last court and the one before it too, and don't the elbows look a little worn?
nice. Our Caillou,
The
our
Haruma?
crab clan.
Yes.
Crab clan. Your favor is at +1.
At all. Work so hard. Okay. Yes, that was from -1 though, so not too bad.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll these dice. Oh, that gives me a 7.
You will be called in, and in particular, the head of the Cooney family is called in. And the emperor will say, we have reason to believe that Maho blood speakers have wormed their way in to one of the families of one of the clans. Our information was not able to divine which family and which clan. But the suggestion that we have heard, the evidence that we have, suggests that the corruption is rooted deeply in this family. We need you to find out which family has been stricken. And deal with it. Can you do that, Almighty Crab?
Cooney. Cooney says, of course.
We will If you do this, we will consider reopening the position of the Obsidian Champion, the Inquisitor for matters of Maho and Shadowlands within the Empire, a position that has been empty for generations.
Thank you, Emperor. Very low bow.
Okay. And the Crane Clan.
Yes. Well, I have a +2.
So you're sitting pretty.
I got a 7.
I
Better
love
than it was.
that you have always had the highest number, and you've always gotten them. Haven't broken that middle band.
No. And last time it was terrible.
We believe that what am I going to say here? Mystery, threat, faction, resource. We believe that the dragon have grown increasingly isolated over these last 3 or 4 years. They stepped forward to assist the Empire in the time of Fu Lang. They lost their daimyo, the great Kami Togashi. In that war, they lost much. But they have withdrawn even further at a time when they are needed. We need you to find a way to convince them to participate more actively. And I'm not suggesting the whole of the Dragon Clan, but at least one of their families needs to step up to become active and present in the Empire, whether it is the duelists of the Miramoto, the monks of the Togashi, the sorcerers of the, I'm going to say Asako, but I think I'm wrong. Agasha.
Or the detectives of the Kitsuki?
Or the detectives of the Kitsuki. Something has to happen. Something has to be done.
Crane prides itself on providing friendly relations between all of our Emperor's clans. We will be happy to do this.
They have for too long given care for sort of the diplomacy and intercession to the Dragonfly, the minor clan that lies outside their lands. So we need to find new ways around that.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is you, Doji Satsumi, speaking with the Emperor. I would regard this as a personal favor if you would undertake this, Doji Satsumi.
You honor me, my Emperor, and I agree wholeheartedly. Dragon must take its place, as all great houses should.
Good. There it is. So let's at least have a scene, perhaps with the 4 of you together. You know each other, so you've probably made arrangements to speak to another, or probably more likely, Doji Satsumi, you've invited the others to attend on you, right?
I wouldn't put it like that.
Well,
we're friends.
But would you set up a lovely space that they could come and visit with you?
Oh, absolutely. They got to come to me. But I just wouldn't have said you got to attend.
So set the scene for me.
with Winter Court, as we've said before, I think that everyone kind of gets each clan has their own space within it, and despite my obviously extremely busy schedule, I will have arranged for a private, quiet sort of moment for my 4 friends. I think also the Admiral of the Southern Seas would have been invited to this. And there may be a few other folks, but it's very small, very intimate, meant to be, basically a cocktail party.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And it will be trying to show off that I'm making Crane's fortunes a little better, but we still are hurting for that luxury. So there may be a slight threadbare look to our traveling pavilion.
Only
Interesting.
3 kinds of rice.
Yeah.
Mm.
So what is your feeling about this, Shinju Hikaru? While your fortunes have waned, Doji Setsume's have risen. Though you have that kind of old secret connections with Setsume. How do you feel about this?
I mean, I'm less surprised about events than I was 5 years ago. I'm less naive about things. I feel like it's pretty obvious that the Cranes have risen because they play the stupid little twirling dance number that the Emperor lays out for them, and they do it well. They bow and dip and swirl at all the right times, and it's very pretty. I don't hold Satsumi personally accountable for that. I do know that he's deeper than all of that, and I have more personal ties to him. But I mean, as for the Cranes in general, Hikaru just sort of rolls his eyes.
And Shiba Kazuko, what's your reaction to these change of fortunes?
Well, as the architect of the whole thing, I am, of course, humble and glad to be invited to my friend Doji Satsume's.
And
as ever, excited to see my friends.
yeah, has becoming a Shugenja, has that changed your attitude or your presentation at all?
No, I think despite seeing some of the scarier creatures and spirits out there, no, the same wonder at the world is still there, the same exuberance and joy. It will not be beaten down.
And what about for you, our great crab representative Hiruma Raiko?
I think she's, how should we say? I assume that Doji Satsumi would be married then if he's daimyo. That would have been arranged fairly quickly. No? Or is he the great bachelor daimyo, unheralded?
Oh, no, Doji Hattori was the great bachelor leader of the Crane clan for many years before he died the Day of Thunder.
Yeah, and see how that ended?
Yes.
Great sadness. No clarity about who was to take over. All right. Well, so we still think. I think then she's a little trepidatious because she hasn't seen him for some time, and this is semi-public, and she knows a ton of people will be watching. However, she would not pass it up for the life of her as well. But she gets upbraided by the Cooney representative that I'm to be cautious in all these things because they're scorpion. He handily reminds me of this.
Yes.
So.
There's scorpion everywhere, and many of them do not wear masks.
Oh, all right. I will be cautious.
Always assume a scorpion. So how do you open this gathering of your friends, Doji Satsumi?
I think everyone would have been able to come in and kind of in reception cocktail party fashion would have been given refreshments, and it would have been expected there was kind of everybody talk to everybody for a few moments. I'll be there to greet everybody as they come in. It is, like I say, a small gathering. I think at most a dozen, probably more like 9. And as the night kind of progresses an hour or so into it, there is some sort of performance, probably song and a performance of a music that all the other guests go to, and I hold back the other 3. And please, it's been so long. I promise you can miss this. Very talented, but the repertoire is very traditional. You will have heard it 1,000 times before.
All right.
And so when it's just the 4 of us, I will, bring out a much better bottle of some sort of higher end liquor, and maybe a nibbly bit or 2, but mostly just a good drink, and settle into somewhere very comfortably. And notably, I will sit just like the rest of you. No elevation. I'm sitting like we're equals.
And the servants allow this? They allow this?
I will, send away. It's just us.
So,
My goodness.
do you then plan to offer us novelty, uniqueness, to countermand the repetitious boredom that you're saving us from?
Well, I've always found that our conversations are the height of innovation. I can only offer good conversation. And Hikaru, it is good to see you again. Have you been well?
I am still here.
Tell us all that you've done. You must have done something amazing.
I often fear, or maybe hope, that my interesting days may be behind me.
Well, a boring day for you was an interesting day to the rest of us. So I'm sure you've got some stories. You're saving them for later, right?
Yes, I'm letting them marinate and ferment until they're entirely intoxicated.
I will laugh at that. That's really good wordplay. Shiva, it seems that you have, rather dedicated yourself to study. I hear that you have risen much in your clan.
Oh, I mean, thank you. It's nothing much. It's just, yeah, I've studied some, some of the rituals, and I mean, it's just pretty stuff. It's like magic, nothing big.
I imagine there will be legends soon about your exploits, the same as there are so many of Hikaru.
Well, I've got big shoes to follow, and if that's the case, I hope that even one of my tales matches up to, all of my tales match up to even one of his.
It's all really simple. You call up some overbloated commie, say a few incendiary words in his ear, and then just try and stay out of the way.
You make it sound so easy.
Oh, trust me, they're incredibly easy to annoy.
Raiko, you also seem to have been very busy.
She nods and she looks up and she goes, I I had to make myself busy. There were a lot of people who were very interested in me.
You've spent a great deal of time in Crane Land, and yet I haven't seen you very much.
Everyone else was watching. Toji.
That's unfortunate. I'm glad that I made sure there weren't so many eyes tonight.
It's feel different.
Our Emperor seems to have a rather ambitious plan ahead of us.
Oh, does he?
Yes, from what I'm led to believe, he's going to have the Ronin rather reestablished into the houses.
As what?
Samurai, as honored members of the clan.
Seems an interesting method for one who says he wants to strengthen his land.
I believe that we will see every clan swell their ranks.
The crab would be happy to do so.
I imagine that the lion will also be delighted, and it will not surprise me to see our old friends, the scorpion, benefit as well.
Those three clans are, I think, the ones we perceive as the hardest path to go for one who is not raised within them.
Perhaps true. Hikaru, I hear little from the unicorn, though I've been pleased that trade between us and friendship has remained. What do you hear there? Will an influx of new, very capable warriors benefit them?
Influx, we'll see. Someone who takes on the role of Ronin and is still bound inside the same system that the samurai were trapped in. Not very interested in people so bound, but maybe there are people that have broken free from some of their shackles.
Is it a trap if you enjoy it though? If you like being a samurai, is that a trap?
Yes, a wildly effective one.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Even with the droughts up north, do you think Phoenix is going to have the means to support more samurai?
Well, just among friends, we'll probably have to wheel and deal a bit. But I hope so. I'm hopeful. We're hoping that perhaps we can learn some techniques from the Imperial Archives on agriculture to help us with this droughted area. Perhaps there's some crops we can grow there with little water.
I admit that it is not yet where I would wish it to be, but our friendship with Phoenix, I would be happy to open the library to your scholars.
That is such a generous offer. And I see that you have completed some silk works.
Well, we have found somewhere that it's very close to us. We have yet to convince the Emperor that it would be best under Crane management, but the wisdom of that is obvious, and I'm sure he soon will agree.
Well, if he were to ask for our advice, of course, we would say the same. And we would love to have crane as trade partners for the silkworms which grow so uh, plentiful nearby.
Hmm. Yes, that could be very beneficial between us. Sheba, as always, despite becoming closer to the land, the merchant heart never dies, does it?
It is only through our intertwining of our houses that we are our strongest.
I agree. You're muted, my love.
Maybe
He's
we
playing the
can,
role of Alan tonight.
yes, maybe we can move to looking at the role moves for each of you. Can we kind of move forward on that and see what the fallout is from those things?
I would love afterwards if I could have a second with Rico.
Okay. Does that
Cool.
seem okay? And then we can let Kazuko and Hikaru call scenes then too. So let's start with the question for the Crab Clan. What is the role move that you checked for this era?
I just didn't uncheck leader because I was uncertain if that made sense.
Okay. So there's no, in that case, then there's no sort of push on that then.
Right. But the thing is I don't know. I don't think she would be a leader of magistrate. I just wasn't like,
Sure.
just
Why
hadn't done
do
anything.
you want to look and choose a different role then?
Sure. I could do that.
In that case, let's come to Shiba Kazuko, and then we'll come back to Haruma. Who, they're the only two. What or who are you? I was thinking of a third, or how. What or who are you seeking out to gain the next stage of your learning? Are you going to one of the oracles of the elements, one of the dark oracles of the elements? Are you going to a dragon? Are you going to some other kind of powerful kami, or spirit? What do you think?
I think Oracle of Water.
And in traveling to the Oracle of Water, what is it? What is the trial? What is the change that affects you? There is a gauntlet that you have to pass through that will affect you in some way. What does that look like?
So this has happened already, or
Yep,
has?
because we're going to kind of come to the Oracle of Water speaking with you.
Trying to tie it into water and healing. I think it's the Oracle of Water, water's healing. I think would losing touch with the fire kami be a way?
That in spending time in speaking and listening to the words of the Oracle of Water, it snuffs out some of your flame. It imbalances your elements such that you'll find that fire is a weakness for you. Meaning that, like, literally fire diminishes near you, but also that fire magic will be at a disadvantage.
Excellent.
But the Oracle of Water talks to you, tells you things, and then says, if you wish to learn more, there is a thing that must be done. The forest of the Phoenix must be cleansed. And someone has to go in there and exorcise the ghosts that live there. Whether it's to be done in this world or you wish to walk through to Maido, the land of punishment, and find the reason why so many have bled over into this world. But the only way that the Phoenix and the spiritual heart of the empire will be restored is if those woods are cleansed.
That is a frightening path to tread on indeed.
It may not be your path, but it is the path that someone has to take.
See the path taken.
What does the oracle water look like? Are they a child, an old man, a woman? What do you imagine?
I think so. It's youthful, but not young. So, but androgynous. Gender is not certain. One person could look on them and see a man. One could see a woman. One doesn't know. But never looking too old, never looking too young.
All right. I'm going to drop a picture in for you with that in mind.
With your picture, Foo.
Insert image in cell. Since we've got a picture of the Kirin, we'll have to give you a picture for the oracle water here.
Nice.
And then we'll format. And then the oracle is gone, leaving you with that task before you. You do know that your friend Shinju Hikaru has gone through these kinds of visitations before, so he may be a good person to talk about these kinds of things.
Yep.
Let's come then. Sherry, what did you choose for your role for Harumu Raiko?
I'm going to say that when the crab chose to make her a magistrate, they did so very purposely and to put her off bounds, out of bounds, if that makes any sense. And they sent her straight to where there were reports for the Maho. And this last year and a half has been her going up and down the range that is between the dragon, the unicorn, and to some extent the lion lands. And there was just this sort of strung out set of blood speaker settlements of people who had been on the river, who had had a livelihood and who had been pushed back during sort of the resettlement of some of the minor clans of and of particularly the lion setting back up along the river there on the one side. And they were desperate and hungry, and the blood speakers found them easy pickings. And yeah, and
you cut a bloody swath through them.
Mm-hmm.
That it may be most of the reason why the Crane are nervous having you in the presence of their daimyo, given that you are a bloody-handed instrument of death without mercy. What did you lose? Did you lose an object sacred to you? Did you suffer a scar? Did you lose a limb? Did you lose a family member? What was the cost that you paid in doing this?
I lost my freedom to ever be with Doji Satsumi again, in that sense of as a dalliance or anything else.
You are marked such that no one will ever marry you. It will not happen. Even among crab. Like the Cooney fight against the darkness close up, you've had to do that. And while you suffer no taint, it's just people are you have the dead eyes, and that will never happen for you. And Shinjo Hikaru, we've talked a little bit about the role of the radical for you. I do have a question so do you imagine that this is your portion of the family, or do you imagine that it's like a secret society within the family, or what is the shape of this group that you are kind of with in these things?
I like the idea of like a society within the family, like in the long wanderings of the unicorns out there. There was a line of the Shinjo family that started to figure out how to work with these foreign magics and how to instill effects without calling on kami. Sort of like secret knowledge passed down.
Yeah, and so you, regardless of how everything else is, you have a group of people that do look to you as a kind of a sensei in these things. How do you feel about that? Does that feed your ego? Are you nervous about it? What do you think?
I think he's probably nervous about it. He's let down a lot of people that were relying on him or following him over time. He understands the political needs for like Miho to distance herself from him and not like publicly rely on him anymore. But he was really idealistic about Miho's leadership when he was younger, and to be like frozen out of that is probably the most hurtful part of it.
What has happened to Naginora Riko?
I'm not sure exactly. I was gonna sort of look in.
Okay, yeah.
Let's situation.
Let's put a pin on that then. Okay, we'll come back to that. All right. Doji Setsume, your friends leave the courtyard, have that moment. It was good to see them, and then the servants come in and they bring you your fresh robes. They clean everything down with ritual water because of the presence of the crab who was there. They do all the things, and then again you're at the center of the matrix that is the Doji family line in this, and that is when one of the, let's say, the Kakita daimyo, is that a man, a woman?
I think that's a woman.
Okay. So Kakita L5R. So she comes to speak with you. She's older than you, but still relatively young for the crane.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, I would speak with you, Daimyo, about a matter that I've only just had confirmation on.
Of course.
And we'll grab a picture for her. Hang on a second. She says, the Kakita have always been the master of dueling here in our clan. The Kakita style has always been a cornerstone of what it means to be a crab warrior. And while, as you know, some elements of it are taught to all of the Kakita, but it is the deeper duelists that learn these things. And so many of us were lost in the war. All of the masters, Kakita Toshimoko, who was the Emerald Champion at that time, and so many
loss.
And it was that line of training and teaching was disrupted, but
What worries you?
I believe that an error has entered into the style.
Really?
I do not know what it is, but I spoke with the Oracle of Fire, and I spoke with the ancestors here, and the style of the Kakita that existed before the clan war, before the war with Fulang, and the style that we practice now, there is a difference.
So many masters lost to put Toturi on the throne. It is, I guess it is to be expected. How
It is
can
not
we
to
fix
be
this?
expected. I do not know. We will see. I do not know where the error is.
How can I help you? Can we find? It still must be within living memory. Surely we can find someone.
We can hope, but and this will be the goal of our clan. But I needed to tell you this problem.
I will look into it.
It is a larger problem if the true style is not in the hands of a crane.
Yes. Yes, it would be.
And she will bow and will leave. So you wanted a scene with Reiko, and then I want to let Kazuko and Hikaru, Kazuko and Hikaru call scenes either there or moving on from there. So what is the scene you want, Doje Setsume?
Oh, such terrible things have happened since I called for that scene.
I know.
And yet I still want the scene because there's time. Anything is possible, and the people I know who are watching this and shipping between us want to have this moment. So, I think that it's probably, as everyone else left, I would have asked Reiko to stay a moment.
There would be some.
Give us the rule, please.
They leave.
And I'll move forward and I'll reach to take your hand, if you'll allow it. You are muted, my dearest.
And I think she does do this, and she bows very deeply, and she's like, It is, and she sort of puts her head, she says, do not touch me.
I kind of step back and you could see the hurt. Why? Have you found another?
And her face kind of clears. And she says, yes, I know how my life will be.
And it will be without me.
That is so.
I intended to ask you if you would marry me. We've never cared about what our clan said. We've never cared before what people would think. What changes your heart now?
I am a crab? And I have accepted my duties as a crab.
Maybe a crab, but you are my love. I don't care of duty when I look at your face.
And that is a perfectly good reason why I should never marry you.
My hand slides up into my sleeve and brings out a carved box, very small. Please take this anyway, for I will never have use for it.
And she puts her hands out and she takes the box very carefully so as not to touch you. And she bows. And she does not come up from the bow while you remain in the room.
And I think that's why shortly before my meeting with Gakita and they're doing that cleansing, I actually yell at them to get out of the room. They do not finish that cleansing.
We're not yet done, Daimyo. We're not.
You are done.
They bow and they leave. Shiba Kazuko, is there a scene you would like to do, a thing you'd like to undertake? I mean, we can even go to moves, family, character, or otherwise.
I think I'd like to have a short scene with just Shinjo Hikaru, just to establish.
Is this after the Winter Court or at the?
Yeah.
Or okay. Then we're sometime after the Winter Court. Shinjo Hikaru, where do you think we're going to have this scene take place?
He's still somewhere in the area. You trying to keep this private, or how do you send
I
an
mean,
invitation sort of thing?
No, it doesn't have to be private.
What about in the Imperial City?
That's fine.
Otosan Uchi?
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, I think there's a cafe, tea house sort of place there that Hikaru likes. It's not very fancy or expensive, but they have very, very good tea.
There are definitely quarters of Otis Anuchi that are given over to the different clans that are not officially, but pretty much considered like the Unicorn Quarter and things like that.
And after some pleasantries, Hikaru, and I'm sure that sometimes you think I'm maybe exaggerating my opinion of you and your deeds. Indeed, this is not true. I remain entranced by the stories that I grew up hearing. Whether they were true or not has nothing to do with it. You were a shining beacon to a young Kazuko. And so it is to you that I turn. We have a forest that has turned its back on our people. And I don't know if you've had experience with the more haunted places in the world.
I have been to places where spirits and specters dwelled. I've spoken with spirits of the land and the forest too, though I must admit I generally prefer fire or water. A quick conversation, a quick decision, move on, blessed or cursed as you will be. The earth, the wood, it takes so long. There's so much explanation and in-depth discussion, and then you must wait.
There is something to be said for the brevity of water, indeed. Well, if you find yourself in need of some adventure, you would be doing the Phoenix the greatest of services. This area must be healed. Whatever was done in the past must be undone as best can be.
I would gladly go to advise you. Spirits of the land, their favor for mortals waxes and wanes. I feel them laying more eyes on you than me recently. I have a feeling you're going to have some rather wild stories to have to talk down from people as well soon enough.
Should I survive, perhaps? But I'm glad that you would make this time to hear me and to know my earnestness and my love for you is real, and to do this for me and for my clan. And of course, you know where to find me when the time is right.
I have some matters to take care of, but come the next full moon, I could meet you in your holdings. It would be a good time to set out, as it would put us at our destination closer to the new moon when the spirit world starts to peek through.
I look forward to seeing you then. And I think that's seen.
I think that sets us up for a zoom in next time. Shinju Hikaru, let me have you call a scene. Is there something you want to do here? And then I'm going to give our crab a chance to call a scene. And this can be a character scene, a clan scene, however you want to do this.
I would like to travel down to the Doji holdings and meet with Setsume again. Somewhere that's not filled with scorpions and lions and imperial spies and jerks.
Still kind of doing this in secret?
Yeah, and I have a a family move to lead into an in-person scene.
Okay, let's hear what that is.
So I have an old debt to repay to Satsumi. He came to help me out when things were difficult, and in that lost one of his most prized possessions, which was that wonderful bladed fan. And I would like to have worked on something to replace it with my family's Wonders from Beyond move.
Ooh, we haven't seen this.
So I want to have made a Mishoto item for him. Tyler, I'd sort of laid some ideas out for you before of a fan with a magical effect on it. I'd suggested maybe like an illusory outfit change sort of an effect, or like a bladed breeze effect where you could take the cutting edge of your fan and sort of use it at a distance. Do you like those, or have you come up with something else that you like?
I like the range. I think that would be interesting, especially now getting up into this different position. I think there's something really impressive in the, kind of crouchy tiger, hidden dragon, bard assassins thing of, zing and the blades go out. I'd love the of the fan and shing, the force goes out.
So I think it would be like a spell that he learned wandering through a deserted area from like a traveling tribe that lived out there. Something that will sort of summon up like a wind of sand to blast and cut across someone with tiny little knife edges.
Let's have you roll reach.
All right. It's not a negative. That's a 9 plus 1 is 10.
So you only have to pick one of those downsides, or come up with one of your own.
This is. I like this on multiple levels. It's not kami magic. It's not the sanctioned magic of the homeland. So obviously, it's banned by imperial edict.
Absolutely.
If anyone found out what it really was.
And it is not immediately obvious that it is that. So it is, but it is banned. Okay. Doji Satsume, what's your reaction?
I come, I present it to you. I remind you of the story where your beautiful fan was bent and broken and flung into the forest.
We fought so well that day. This is magnificent, my friend. Do you tell me that it's forbidden?
Well, I don't tell you that it's forbidden, but
Okay.
I do explain that it's, a special form of magic that doesn't even require a connection to the spirits, that just by following this set of actions, you can call upon the wonder inside of it.
I don't know how to thank you, Hikaru. And I mean that on a very deep level. I don't know how to thank you. What do you seek now, my friend?
I have spent a lot of my life running from things. Dangers or responsibilities or difficult choices or spiritual quests even. I find old debts weighing on me. That's why I wanted to repay this kindness. But you're not the only one that I've let down over the years. I would help Naganori Riko. I would help what remains of her blood and her clan. But She has, in no uncertain terms, made it clear that she does not wish me to be in her presence, or at least not me in my head at the same time. What can I do to aid her? What can I do to win her trust? I'd like to push on your whatever your rumors move.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So that's
Your
my
voice
voice
of
of
the
the
wind.
wind. So Lowell, I could ask a question.
Her brother died in the attack on the clan, but there's reason to believe that he's not dead.
And that's all I know.
Yeah.
Hikaru, I hear things. She is not the only of her family left. Her brother still lives. You're muted, my love.
You're sure? After all this time, no one's discovered him?
I'm certain he lives, but I do not know where he is. I will help you search. And if it would help, I will elevate this family. I can give them office. But it must come from you. I realize that you must unburden yourself with this debt. If you find him, bring him to me. I will elevate their family again. Their honor, their position. There are Ronin across the land who are looking for homes. They can be a clan again.
Yes. Yes, it is good. This is a gift in kind with the debt that I owe her. And more importantly, one that cannot be refused.
On the day that fan was destroyed in the past, I told you, it matters not our houses. You are my friend. Don't forget that.
I will follow my own paths on finding more about where he might be. But I will come to you, and I'll tell you what I learned.
I will listen to the wind, and perhaps somewhere a twitter of birds will let me know something more about him.
Let's cut there. Sherry, do you have a scene you want to call?
I think you had that scene where she is speaking to the Kuni, and essentially some mention of what it is that the emperor wants, and she sort of looks up and nods because of course she would take care of that. But But I think she asks him, where do you need me to look? Where should we cast our eyes first?
You mean to discover where this corruption lies?
Yes.
That seems like you are
Lay of the land or whatever within my clan.
clan moves. There is a read the wind.
Yeah.
Why don't you roll? And because you're speaking within, you get to read with advantage.
And what do you add to that? That's my,
Reach,
reach. So that's still the crab clan, so -1. So
but with advantage.
it still doesn't help much. 7 -1 is a 6. Do I have anything I can do to bring that up?
Someone could help you.
You'd have to get someone to help you that has influence.
It has influence on me?
Yeah.
That never makes any sense. It would have to be. Okay.
Essentially, because the lending aid is an active thing.
Okay.
None of us do.
Yeah, that's okay.
All signs point to what we have seen, that this corruption is in the Crane clan. That is the information that we have. Is not something we'd spoken to you of before because of your relationship with the Doji Daimyo. Balderdash. That old samurai phrase. Balderdash.
Brought it back into use.
Yeah.
Just for this occasion. And I think she looks and she's like, they said Maho in their heart.
We do not know.
Always, I have tracked where the peasants are treated poorly. She sort of goes,
If there's corruption at the highest level, then this is something beyond that.
exactly.
There were many Crane corrupted during the war. The false daimyo, the maker of the chained blades. There's so many. This could be something that has slipped past, that has remained.
I will see if I can get myself assigned to some other investigation in the area.
And I think that's where we're going to stop for tonight, if that's okay. I'm going to stop the recording on that note. We've got a couple of possible interesting zoom-ins for next time that we can do that. We'll give an opportunity for any kind of clan moves before we go to those, but we'll definitely have those on the table for what people want to do, if they want to do the zoom-ins or they want to shorthand things. So I'm going to stop the recording.